At 8:15 a.m. on the 6th of August 1945, the United States dropped an atomic bomb on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. 3 days later, it bombed the southern city of Nagasaki. It's the only time in history that nuclear weapons have ever been used in warfare.
Land of hell, Hiroshima. And that was a man-made hell.
Now, with conflicts being fought across the world, talk about escalation and the threat of a new nuclear arms race is becoming louder and louder.
Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
Оставляем за собой право применить ядерное оружие в случае агрессии против России и Беларуси.
核の被害っていうのはね、広島の出来事は昔からしたよね。今の問題だということですよね。
On the 7th of December 1941, a year after entering World War II, the Japanese Air Force launched a surprise attack on the US naval base at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, killing over 2,400 people. In the months that followed, America began work on a secret operation in New Mexico, using nuclear fission to create the world's first atomic bomb. 3 years later, after Japan rejected an ultimatum to stop fighting following Germany's surrender, America dropped an experimental bomb on the city of Hiroshima.
A short time ago, an American airplane dropped one bomb on Hiroshima and destroyed its usefulness to the enemy. That bomb has more power than 20,000 tons of TNT. It is an atomic bomb.
Approximately 78,000 of Hiroshima's 350,000 residents were killed instantly. 3 days later, the US launched a second bombing mission on the city of Nagasaki. Approximately 40,000 of Nagasaki's 240,000 citizens died on impact. Japan then surrendered, bringing the war in Asia to an end. I've been reporting on existential threats for years, but on the eve of the anniversary of the Hiroshima bombing, now feels like the right time to look at the ever-growing threat of nuclear war and what really happened at that time. And to do that, I'm somewhere I didn't expect to be.
It can feel really distant. The bomb was 80 years ago, it was 9,000 miles away, but actually the effects and the legacy of the bomb can be felt here in the UK today.
And I've come to Swansea in Wales to meet someone who's had to live through that. Kyoko Gibson was born in Hiroshima 3 years after the bomb exploded. Your life today is still affected by what happened. Can you tell me some of how it still affects you?
Yeah, I was a physically weak child. I had a stroke, I had a tumor, and recently I had 2 breast cancer operations.
With your family, when you spoke to your husband, were they surprised at what you'd been through as well as your parents?
I think so, but my children never mentioned.
No?
No.
So you've not spoken with them?
No. And they hesitated to ask because it's so painful thing.
8 decades on, the spectre of nuclear warfare is still with us. In newspaper headlines, in TV shows, movies and computer games. But there is one country where that nightmare became a reality.
Here in Hiroshima, I have the chance to speak with some of the few people left on Earth who've actually experienced an atomic bomb. What can we learn from them in a world where the threat of nuclear war seems less distant and feels like it's edging closer? This was your house.
ここ私が原爆の時にですね、この声住んでたわけです。
Hiroshima was an important part of the Japanese war effort. Keiko, then aged 8, Mikio, 13, Kenji, who was 6, are the last generation of survivors.
これでってこれじゃろう思うんですよ。この人は東京で今まだ生きとる人おるけど、この近くでほとんどもういないですねこれ。
Previous night, that there were warning, and we rushed to the shelter many times.
This was you and your family?
Nothing happened. But my father said he had a kind of inspiration. Today, something might happen. Because of that, you shouldn't go to school.
Shortly after 8 o'clock in the morning, B-29 bomber Enola Gay was heard in the skies. The decision to bomb Hiroshima was confirmed just an hour earlier. This was its target, the Ao Bridge, right in the heart of the city. At exactly 8:15 a.m., the atomic bomb named Little Boy was released.
I was alone on the road. Then I felt the flash. Everything I was seeing turned to white.
で爆風が2階この角から爆風が2階建ての爆風が数十秒してわーっと寄せ寄ってきたんで。
瞬間もう家が崩れて真っ暗ですね。埃で真っ暗になるんですけど、一体何が起きたんだろうというんでね、考えも及ばない状況に呆然としておりました。
Nearly a quarter of the city's population were instantly killed. Many of them were school children.
You were only 13 when this happened. Had you any idea what had just happened when you got out of the wreckage of your house?
まず男女の区別がつかないほど顔がむちゃくちゃです。どういう状態かと言いますと、熱線で頭の髪の毛がですね、縮れてしまって逆立ってます。
As our survivors struggled to understand what had happened to them and their families, seemingly healthy people began to die.
それはもう原爆落ちた時にはですね、直後はですね、大体髪が火入れたらバーッと抜けるわけですよ。
Surviving the bomb was just the beginning. The blast released enormous amounts of toxic radiation that made people sick in the following days and weeks.
で髪が抜けたらもう4、5日でなくなるわけですよ。で子供ながら私は毎朝起きたら髪をパッて見て。抜けたらもう大騒ぎして泣きじゃくったのを覚えとんですわ。
The US occupied Japan for 7 years. The American authorities heavily censored any reporting of the effects of what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And although the US set up a commission to research the medical effects of the bombings, it would take decades for the world to discover the impacts on fertility, mental health, and physical well-being. Ignorance surrounding the bombings continues. There's still no definitive evidence of exactly what illnesses or cancers were caused in the aftermath. But the survivors feel that the high rates of cancer they experienced came from the bomb. Even those who weren't there at the time of the blast, like Satoshi Tanaka.
それからね、私は合計6つのがんの手術をしましてね。いう退院を繰り返し、頑張っております。
Satoshi wasn't in the blast zone on August 6th, but was exposed to the radiation in the aftermath. He was just 18 months old when his mum, looking for missing relatives, carried him back into the city.
You've experienced effects from that, you think too, right?
私のような入試被爆で比較的低線量で被爆をした人とは晩年に年を取ってから影響が出ますよという統計資料があるんですよ。
In 2024, Satoshi and Keiko were part of a group of survivors to receive the Nobel Peace Prize for their efforts to bring about a world free of nuclear weapons. But they feel their work is still unfinished.
What was it made you, Saiki-san, decide to share your story?
その時にウクライナ のロシアの侵攻が始まりました。でその時にいやこうしちゃおれない、どうしても証言しないといけないという意味です。
Many people think these weapons serve a useful purpose and actually prevent war. They believe that nations will be so afraid of the possible effects of a nuclear war, they'll avoid any war at all costs.
Deterrence, the fear of a devastating retaliatory attack, is a major reason nukes still exist. According to the Stockholm International Peace Institute, there are around 12,000 nuclear weapons worldwide, in the hands of 9 countries, although Israel has never confirmed or denied having them. But these weapons are many, many times more powerful than those used in Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
It's nightmarish, the things that we've been told. There's this conflict between wanting weapons to protect yourself so this doesn't happen to you, while at the same time seeing what it's done and wanting nothing to do with them whatsoever.
Kenji and Satoshi have met up next to the Hiroshima Peace Park. This monument commemorates those whose bodies were never found. Satoshi's aunt was one of them.
そりゃそうです。
他の災害ないですよ。被害者の半分ぐらいがわからんような。名前もわからんし、元わからんしね。生きといてるないのが7万くらいもおるね。じゃあお参りしましょう。線香ないけど。
The rest of the world, we're lucky because here and Nagasaki are still the only places to have experienced a nuclear attack. Deterrence compromise has worked so far. But for the survivors, their worry is that the leaders, the politicians, the generals, the people in charge of the nuclear weapons aren't listening to their stories or their experience. They're not making the connection between the weapons and this here. And what happens when that last generation, the last generation of the only people to really have experienced what an atomic bomb is like, are gone? How will we get our leaders to really understand what it means to push the button?